101 LLC, out of New York, do more than just support our clients to pitch their businesses to investors access working capital at 0% APR. We also support our clients to grow and scale their businesses faster and cash flow optimize. Pitch Deck 101 LLC recent partnership with 10X Branding Marketing LLC and Global Capital Inc. out of the USA has enabled us to form unique partnership with multiple financial institutions, which means we can do even more to accelerate the success of our clients. Let Pitch Deck 101 LLC give you the support you need to pitch to investors, access capital, access new markets and grow, and scale your business. Contact us now on 332-235-1099 for a free consultation.
Welcome to another broadcast of Wealth Builders Blueprint. Now, as promised, today we're going to be looking at a pretty interesting topic. We're going to be looking at how to start a US-based business. Now, the information I'm about to supply is very important because when you attempt to start your business and you register your business the wrong way, you undermine the potential of that business to get funding. So I will walk through a number of steps today that will help you to understand some of the best practices that must be considered when you're attempting to start your US-based business. Now, I can see that today we also have one of our panelists, and his name is Roland Hudson. Later on in the program, you will also be hearing about him. And of course, he specializes in focusing on things relating to health. All right, because again, while we provide you with information that helps you to build wealth, we want you to build wealth in a way that you're maintaining your health so you can truly enjoy the wealth that you're going to be building. So welcome once again to Wealth Builders Blueprint, and I'll dive right in to the first topic today. Now, in attempting to start your US-based business, one of the first things that you must do is your name search. Just don't register a business. You need to do a name search. What that does, it helps you to ensure that there's no other entity that has your business name. You want your business name to be very unique to you. All right. Now, in the absence of doing that, a possibility exists that in another state, they may have a similar name. So all of your efforts to increase visibility, reach, and impact of your brand could be directed to that next company that has a similar name. And this is one of the reasons why you need to do that name search. Now, once you would have done that name search and you recognize that the name is clear, you can now move right ahead to register that business name with the Secretary of State. Now, in registering your business with the Secretary of State, you will then get your EIN, which is the Employer's Identification Number, and you will get the ITIN, the Individual TIN Identification Number. So those are two things that happens when you register with the Secretary of State. Second, the third thing that you need to consider here is you need to ensure that you have a proper business address. Now, why is this important? It is important because the financial institutions that you're likely to be seeking funding to help your business to grow, they want to know that you're legit. And they're able to extract some of those information from your address. Just don't use a P.O. box. Yes, the P.O. box might be cheap, but you want to have a legitimate and a proper address. If even you use your home address, You see, in most cases, it would say don't use your home address. But if you don't have the capital to go rent a separate physical space, you can start with your home address. The fourth thing for you to consider is to get your business listed. It is what we call the 411 business listing number. Now, this is a very unique platform to list your business to ensure that the business is listed because it is on these platforms. It sets the stage for eyeballs to find your business. That increases your visibility, that increases your reach and your impact, that can lead to new clients and client conversion. So all of these things are important steps that you need to document when you're attempting to start and scale your US based business. Number five, you need to have a strong social media presence, and that can begin with your website. But it also helps if you have additional social media platform. So when potential investors are looking for you, they can find you on social media. They can look at some of what your business is doing to be able to help them to make a better decision in partnering with your business. Step six is to establish a business checking account. Now, most of the companies that we fund from the US standpoint, the funds is not going to be sent to you directly. The funds will be sent to the business. So it is necessary for you to set up a business checking account for that business. All right, because when we are disbursing capital to businesses, those monies are sent directly to the business checking account. And these are important things that you would need to do in setting up your business the right way. It also helps if you have a business savings account. That also helps to separate your accounts. Now, in registering your business, there is something that we call the SIC code, the Standard Industrial Classification Code. Now, this is very important because this code tells the financial institution the category in which the business is registered under and the risk associated with that business. So when they check your SIC code, that SIC code may also influence how they're going to be funding your business. All right. So this is all part of the Wealth Builders Blueprint. If you want to start and scale your 6, 7, 8, and 9-figure bread and you want to do it the right way, these are some basic information that you need to know. Not knowing these information can prevent you and your business from accessing the much needed capital to move your vision, your business, forward. So not having an SIC code, it doesn't help you because the financial institution may assume that this is the SIC code, and their assumption may not be an assumption that puts your business in those de-risk factors. So these are important things that you need to know when you're registering your business. There is also the NAICS code, and this is the North American Industrial Classification System. This is an important body of knowledge that you need to have, the NAICS code. This was established between Canada, Mexico, and the United States of America. It's important for you to also have this body of knowledge. It's going to help your business in its growth process. Now, I will also list The 10th item, in registering your business and starting your business and ensuring that your business is ready for funding, your business should also have what is known as the DUNS number. All right, with a DUNS number, the business now is setting that stage to ensure that it's strengthen its legal identity. With a DUNS number, that business will now get the paycheck score. Now, the paycheck score is separate from the FICO score. You see, just like how an individual may get a a FICO score, the business now gets a paycheck score. Now, in starting your business, it's hardly likely that your paycheck score, they will leverage your paycheck score to access funding. And that is so because that business has not developed any historical track record. So because of this, you may have to leverage your FICO to give the business what is known as a personal guarantee. While giving the personal guarantee will not necessarily affect your FICO score, you may still have to leverage the FICO to give that business a start. But once that business would have developed that track record, all right, of financial transaction, the paycheck score alone will be strong enough to ensure that your business can be funded. Now, the fundability of your business depends on a number of important factors. And what I will do, I will share some information with you that will help you to help your business to develop a strong paycheck score. Now, once you would have done everything that I have mentioned above, and you register with the Dun and Bradstreet, so you get your DUNS number, what steps can you take to ensure that you're building a strong paycheck score? There's a couple of things that I will share with you that will help you on that journey. There's a concept that we call trade line. And in trade line, they have a number of different categories that you should be aware of. For example, there is the net 30, there's the net 60, and there's the net 90. Now, you want to take trade line in the business name because this is what's going to help the business now to start to develop its paycheck score. Now, what exactly is the net 30, 60, and 90? The net 30, 60, and 90 is a line of credit that is provided to both business and individuals living in the United States of America. Now, that line of credit allows you to get anything that the provider is offering. So let's take, for example, for your business, you need office equipment, you need office furnitures, you need other things to run the business. Now you have that net 30, 60, or 90. You can now leverage that net 30, a trade line, to ensure that your office is furnished. Now, once you would have leveraged that, you have between 30, 60, and 90 days to settle that debt. And once you settle that debt within the timeline, you have no interest to pay. But the beauty of leveraging net 30, 60, and 90 is that you can ask the provider to report your net 30, 60, and 90 to Equifax Business and Experian Business. And once they start that reporting, it's going to help your business to develop its paycheck score. So eventually your business will be able to get funding just by using the paycheck score. So these are some of the steps that you can take to help the business to become fundable. This is part of the wealth building journey. All right. But that's just part of the things that you need to do to strengthen the paycheck score of the business. There is vendor credit. Now, vendor credit is similar to the net 30, 60, and 90, but it's different in a few ways. This is where the vendor provides you with their own credit card, and you're able to use that credit card with the vendor. All right. That also is a line of credit. All right. So the net 30, 60, and 90 and the vendor card can be leveraged in many ways, but I'm not going to go into smart ways to leverage them because I just want to focus on the topic of discussion today, how to set up the US-based business and some of the steps you need to take and the benefits of that. At another broadcast, I will go into how to leverage some of those. So you need to get vendor credit in the business name. And along with this, you need to get store credit. All right, store credit is different and from the vendor credit, and vendor credit is different from the net 30, 60, and 90. After you would have achieved these first three, you can then move to what is known as cash credit. Now, here is where financial institution, because the business now is developing a portfolio of itself, a track record of itself of taking debts and honoring debt, they now graduate you up to cash credit. And you do this, and when you do this the right way, that business can start to receive thousands of US dollars. All right, we have heard cases where business, within a few months, because you set your business up the right way, you now start to access 40,000, 60,000, 150,000, $250,000. And because you can leverage this across multiple platforms, you can access hundreds of thousands of US dollars in credit portfolios. And if you guys can recall, I did mention a few weeks ago that you have big companies like Walmart who are leveraging all of these financial instruments into their business growth and their business sustainability and their business expansion. These are hacks that the big players in business are leveraging. So why not you? So our platform, we just want you to have this information so you can start to leverage these information. Now, again, we are looking at how to strengthen your business paycheck score. So the next step that you can look at here is to establish what is known as credit union credit lines. Now, establishing credit union credit lines helps your business a lot because what you're doing here, you're creating multiple portfolios for the business in financial instruments. And the better you are able to demonstrate that you are managing these financial instruments in a proper way, it sets you up to get more favorable response from these financial institutions. All right. So this is something that you need to consider. The establishing credit union credit lines. Now, credit unions tend to be much more friendlier to businesses because of the nature of credit union. And credit union in the United States, they're very diverse because once you have developed a healthy portfolio with them, one, you're able to access business funding with lower interest rates. All right. You are able to access personal home mortgage at lower interest rates. You're able to access multiple financial instruments, just like you would be able to create with the traditional banks, you're able to achieve the same with credit union. Their credit union is very diverse. So you need to look within your community, your zone, and start to build those relationships with the credit union. Now, from here, the next thing that you can consider or you need to consider is developing what we call a revolving line of credit. And here is where you're creating a mix of financial instruments to strengthen the portfolio of the business. So, a revolving line of credit, this means that you're now taking out a bank credit line. All right. And this is a revolving line of credit. And what revolving means is that the bank now will give you an established amount of capital. And when you pay that capital, you use that capital and pay it back, it remains available to you on a revolving process. And that helps the business to access capital when it needs, pay it off back, and still have access to it. The hacks and techniques and all of that, as time progresses, I will go into all of that. So you understand how to set your business up in the right way to fully optimize all of these steps, all of these processes to ensure that your business is fundable. Okay. Now, your business may not get the kind of fund that it needs because you're not creating the historical data to project the business in a healthy way. It's important to be able to do all of this. All right. So we are looking at the revolving line of credit. The next thing that we're going to be looking at is the installment debt. This is different. This is more like a bank loan or an overdraft. Now, you all should know that a bank loan or an overdraft operates different from a revolving loan. When you take a bank loan, the bank gives you a fixed amount of sum with an interest rate attached to it. So on that debt, you're going to be paying interest on the principal balance. But when you pay interest and principal on a monthly basis, you don't have access to those funds any longer because it's a loan. It's different with a revolving line of credit. A revolving line of credit, you take it, you pay it back, and you have access to those funds. With a installment debt, it's different. All right. But you still need to set all of this up for the business because you're creating a personality for that business. And it is based on the personality, how you build out that personality will help financial institution to say, hey, this is a healthy personality. This business is taking funds. They are investing funds. They are paying back funds. So let us give them access to that business more capital. But if you don't create this portfolio for the business, this financial portfolio for the business, you're going to undermine your business potential to access much needed fund. And of course, again, we are talking about the Wealth Builders Blueprint. This is part of what you need to understand when you're setting yourself up to build wealth, because access to capital is going to play a pivotal role in how you position that business for success. Now, in starting your business is also another concept that we call a secure business loan. There's a secure business loan and the unsecured business loan. Now, as a rising star in business, because you don't have that historical data, the bank may not necessarily give you an unsecured capital, unsecured debt. So to help that business, you can also take out a secure business loan, which means that you take, 100,000 US dollars or 5,000 US dollars, and you put it into the bank and you take a loan against that sum. That is a secure business loan. All right. And you find that the banks start to become a little bit more flexible with you in this regard because the sum that you want to borrow, you already put it in. is called a secure business loan. And all of this helped the bank to develop that relationship with you and you to develop the relationship with the bank. And over time, it helps the business fundability. So you may have to start at some point with the secure business loan, and then in a few months, you may now be able to upgrade that to the unsecured business loan. And here is where the bank are looking at your track record, the financial institution are looking at your business track record, and they say, okay, based on what I'm seeing, I can allocate 100,000, 50,000, you know, 200,000 to your business in unsecured lines of credit. Now, these are just some of the things that you would need to consider, all right, as you set your business up in the right way. Now, I trust that you have taken note in what I've discussed early on. There's so much more for us to unpack, but I want to also say this as I begin to wrap up this first part of the Well Builders Blueprint is that in the US, we have three credit bureaus, three main credit bureaus. We have the Equifax, we have Experian, and we have TransUnion. But in the context of business, only two of them is applicable to you. Equifax Business and Experian Business. And you need to ensure that you know this, because knowing this is what's going to help you to build healthy relationship with these institutions. All right? Because when financial institutions are preparing to allocate capital to you, they're going to be, when they're using your FICO, they're going to pull all three: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. But when they're pulling the business, they're going to pull Experian Business and Equifax Business. All right, so I trust you would have enjoyed the first part of this presentation. Now, what I want to do, I see two of my colleagues are in the waiting room, and I want to invite them up on stage to join the conversation. I can see that we have Peter Scott. Hi, Peter, how are you doing? And we have Roland Hudson.
Hi,
Peter, you're mute. I
gentlemen.
can't.
Hi, gentlemen.
Hey,
Hi,
hey,
Gary.
how are you?
Um,
How are you?
I'm good, but regrettably, I will have to cut short my participation this evening.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to leave like probably another couple of minutes. So sorry about this. It's unexpected, but it's something I have to take care of most urgently. All
Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. I'll get back in touch with you during the course of the evening.
No problem, Roland. You
Okay.
have a
Sorry
great
about
one,
that.
right?
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, no mention anytime.
And similarly to Gary, today is one of those days. I have an annual meeting, beginning of the year's meeting at the Lions Club that I'm a part of. So, I will have to. I'm just here because I want to make sure that I'm abreast of what is happening and to show my support. But I'll have to jump out in the next few minutes as well, to just to take care of this other matter.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anything you want to share before you hop out?
Yes. Well, as you are speaking about the wealth building blueprint, what we want to share with your audience as well is that a lot of times, and in representing the Power Investors LLC here in New York, which you and I have partnered to bring these vital education to the community. Last week, we had this discussion where we do recognize that as much as we have Americans who have been born and bred here in the United States, in addition to those persons who have traveled from overseas and they come and they lodge in the United States. And more likely, these individuals may not be aware of the kind of benefits that the business community or the business structures can be leveraged to them. Because of that, we find that unnecessarily individuals struggle in their ability to be to build and to expand and to build wealth. So
Mhm.
LLC is designed to bring that body of information to the community for the everyday individual who may not have access to this information. We're now able to sit them down and to say, yeah, this is how they are able to tap into these resources for them to start their business. Businesses requires money to grow and to expand. And so without access to capital, we do understand that it can be a struggle. So Power LLC, Power Investors LLC, is designed to to create this body of information. In addition, what we also do, even while individuals are building out their position to access credit, putting in the necessary steps whereby they can be recognized as a credit-worthy entity. And what we also get individuals to understand that they themselves have a body of information that can be leveraged. Many persons do not recognize their intellectual property. That intellectual property is also a vast, present vast opportunity. Intellectual property is
An
property.
asset. It's an asset. Yes, it is.
Yes. And so
Mm-hmm.
what I want individuals to understand that they can leverage their intellectual property in putting it into a book, into a course, into training programs, and then this can be used to jumpstart generating revenue that will also can be leveraged upward to gain access to other forms of credit from the institutions that you were just mentioning. So, and it's a great opportunity that we have to bring across this information to persons who are in need.
Yeah. Um, Great share, Peter. And I just want to emphasize that what we have registered, I think it's a little over a year now, Peter, is the Power Investor LLC. And the vision behind Power Investor LLC is multifaceted. One is to really help people to understand in the US what is financial intelligence and is how to uplevel that body of knowledge to position themselves to build wealth. What I like about America is that there are so much of possibilities that is open to the citizenry. While the opportunities are there, the information is not necessarily there, and the role that we will be playing is to provide those information. In the US, some of the things that I've seen is that uh, investors in the real estate market, they have been able to go to the market with no money out of pocket, but because they are able to foster healthy relationship with private equity investors, with hard money lenders, with the creative financial market, who's willing to invest with them on a project, they're able to access, multiple income producing asset in the context of multifamily unit, and they have ownership of that in a very short period of time. So because you're in a diverse financial market, you have all of these possibilities that is before the public. But what I've seen is that many persons in the public domain don't necessarily have this type of information. So one of the role of Power Investor LLC is to equip people with the knowledge and to by way of mentorship, by coaching, by sponsorship, and building out that supportive community to ensure that they have the kind of information that will help to not only transform the life of their businesses, but it's to transform their lives. So it's really a privilege to partner with you guys, Peter, to move this initiative forward. All right. So thanks for that share, Peter. Anything else you want to share?
Well, just simply that information is the first step toward building wealth. You
Yeah,
don't know what
the
you don't
right
know,
information.
right?
Exactly.
You don't know what you don't know until you do know. And what this platform is giving individuals is the opportunity to build the first level of wealth is the mental wealth, to have that
Mm-hmm.
imagination, that asset. Knowledge is the first line of asset development. What you know is, and so just want to let every individual know to take advantage of this information that you're getting. Take notes. These information that you're getting, they are practical, they're applicable, and it can be used. So we just want to encourage the audience to not just to listen, not just to come by and to see this, you know, take action. And in a short space of time, you'll be surprised to see how life has your life has transformed.
Mm-hmm. What I also want to add to that, while earlier and I talk about, how to set up your US based business, I want to say to the general public, if you're in the US, in any of the 50 states, we're able to help you to access capital. So whether you're attempting to access debt or equity, credit or creative financing, or hard money lending, we have very established partners that we are working with that within a few short days, or the longest is a few weeks, you will get access to capital to help to move your vision forward. The beauty about working with us is that we're able to help you to access capital at 0% APR. And and I literally mean 0% APR. I can recall a little while ago, I'm talking with some colleagues, and I said, um, US has such a diverse financial market that you can go to that market once you understand how to integrate and build out your brand in that market, and you could access capital at no interest to pay. All right. And we have some of the biggest financial institutions that are doing this. And when I say no interest to pay, you get a waiver on interest, you get a moratorium on interest. And that moratorium, that waiver can last for 6 months, it can last for 12 months, and it can go all up to 21 months. The beauty about all of that, Peter, is that in working with us, we can treat that window like loan, a revolving loan that has no interest to pay. All right. So these are how the financial market is established. But the only way you will be able to access these opportunities is by committing the time to get this information, or to ensure that you're working with a mentor, with a coach, with a sponsor, or you're part of a supportive community that can feed this information to you. And that's what we are. All right. We provide that mentorship, that coaching, that sponsorship. And we have that supportive community that really helps people to get the kind of information that will help them to better their business and to better their lives. So I just wanted to share that little bit, Peter. Um, Peter, I also want to acknowledge you just a bit, for the work that you're doing in helping people to tell their stories through publishing their books and writing and publishing their books. Is there anything you want to share a bit about that before you wrap up?
Yes, indeed. And thanks for the opportunity to get the word out as well, because most persons they do not value themselves in terms of their life experience and the stories, the lessons that the University of Life has taught them. People put a lot of value on their certification that they get from a institution, and that is great. But there is a large amount of individuals who may not have been privy to getting that blessing from a college or a university or a certified institution. But the University of Life continues, however, and every individual has learned, have picked up bits of wisdom through what life has taught them. And when they are able to package that bit of information, that's as we mentioned earlier, that an intellectual property that is specific to that individual, their world, their view of how the world works. And there are several other persons who are going through similar challenges that you have gone through, and they are hoping and praying that somebody will give them that insight. And so what we want individuals to understand that what you know is valuable. Your experience, your story is very valuable. So what we do with Power LLC, we also have a program that we call the Master Authors Academy, where we teach individuals not just to be an author, but to master we have an element that we call the 21 dimensions of self-mastery. So when you learn to master portions, those 21 dimensions of who you are, so that you can have a greater value. You can see yourself in your own eyes, because if an individual don't see their personal value in their own eyes, it is going to be difficult for them to sell it as a value for that will empower other persons. So we just want to encourage individuals to take a full view, a 360 degree of all the assets, all the opportunities that they have. Look at your inner value as well. And when you can package that with what we can receive from building out real properties like in real estate and other forms of asset, when we can combine both, then you become that's where real wealth. So no matter where you should fall, if anybody should take away your house, your land, your fortune, because you have intellectual property, you can use it to build also real property and move on over and over.
Yeah, I really like what you're saying. I'm going to just coin it slightly different. I do believe that the intellectual property that people have, it can fall very much into the category of a strong or weak personal brand. And I think what you're attempting to do is to really help people to build a strong personal brand. And I think that's important because what I've seen is that persons may have an intellectual substance, they may have competence, but that competence is not known, is not liked. And because it's not known, it's not like it cannot be trusted. And we know the research is showing that people prefer to invest and to support the things that they know, like, and trust. So what you're doing basically is helping people to package their personal brands and to leverage multiple platforms to help them to be known, to be liked, to be trusted. So that can create that springboard for them to get access to visibility, to reach the impact, to new clients, to cash flow optimization. So I definitely like the platform that you're using to empower people in your community. Yeah. All right. I want to spend some time also to Peter. I don't know how long more you have, but I want to spend some time going deeper into this concept of building your personal brand. Now, Wealth Builders Blueprint is a unique platform that really enables people to build and master their personal brand. Why? Because of all the reason I've said earlier on. But one of the things that I've seen many persons struggle with having a clear understanding of what building your personal brand is. And what we do here is we try to simplify those concepts. To build your personal brand, in the simplest of terms, is to add personality to your person. All right. Building your personal brand is to add personality to your person. So let's take, for example, when we look at Gladys Knight and we look at Tina Turner and we look at Tony Robbins and we look at Zig Ziglar, we look at those big names. What nurtured those big names is the fact that they were able to add personality to their person. They have now developed a personal brand. So when one thinks about Tina Turner, immediately they are thinking about a outstanding public figure who is a powerful entertainer. Her the personality that she's add to her person really helped the public to identify with her in this way. So if you're attempting to build wealth, all right, if you're attempting to start your six, seven, eight, and nine figure brand, if you're attempting to position yourself to build wealth, the ability to build your personal brand is vital to this whole process. Now, there's a couple of things that I must say as the public attempts to build a personal brand. In attempting to build your personal brand, it's important to recognize that this brand building process stands on two pillars. Pillar one, it is important for you to recognize that in building your personal brand, you're not building this personal brand in isolation to public interest and public needs. All right. So you need to ask yourself, why am I building my personal brand? And I'm building my personal brand. The answer should be I'm building my personal brand to reach a specific need of people. So that means you first of all have to identify who is your target market. In the context of business, you must identify who is your target market. You must identify what are the specific needs of those target market, and you must put yourself in a position of strength. That brand must be in a position of strength to reach the expectations, to exceed the expectations with the highest degree of consistency. And you may not see all the moving parts in one's well building journey, but in the context of business, if you don't have a strong personal brand that is adding value, fixing problem consistently above and beyond people's expectations, it's going to undermine how that brand is elevated to cash flow, how that brand is elevated to build wealth. So these are some of the things that you need to consider. But as I said, there's two sides, there's two elements here. First is about you understanding who you want to serve, why you want to serve that, and then ensuring that you have what it takes to not only reach their expectations, but you want to push a little bit more above their expectations. So that's one aspect of things. The second aspect of things, and this is what I see happens a lot. Many brand builders, you build the brand, but in your brand building process and journey, you didn't take the time to ask yourself, is this going to be viable? And to ensure that you have the data that is telling you why building your personal brand is going to be viable. You just build. And that's an emotional decision. In the context of business, you want to make data driven decision. So when you come into the Wealth Builders Blueprint, we go into that data. When you come into Power LLC, Power Investor LLC, we go deep into this body of knowledge. So you have the step by step. And just let me give you a sneak peek here. The data that you want to be looking at when you want to assess market viability, you want to know your market size. All right? You want to know the element of competition. You want to know needs that are being met, unmet needs. You want to do a proper assessment. Now, because you may not be trained in this field, you're making an emotional decision when you're building your personal brand. All right. So, and that's not a healthy way to build your personal brand. You see, with us, we have spent years doing this, and we have spent many years helping businesses to make better, smarter, wiser decisions to push them forward. And that's the level of commitment that we're going to bring to you. So you want to assess market viability before you build that brand. You want to assess market accessibility before you build that brand. Because the other thing that happens is that you build that brand, you identify your market need, who you're targeting, the needs, and you innovate. But then you didn't check viability, you didn't check accessibility. Very often you build the brand and you don't know how to access the market. So there is where you have a challenge now to cash flow the brand, to monetize the whole process. So that's the second side. Before you even start the innovation process, you need to commit the time, talent, and the resources to ensure that you know all of this. Next, on the other hand, you need to understand if your brand is urgent. Because if the need of the product or service that you're providing is not urgent, it's going to undermine that brand to cash flow. So as you begin to understand what is the Wealth Builders Blueprint, the Wealth Builders Blueprint walk you through all of this. So you have a clear mental picture of what you're getting into and if it makes sense. And once it makes sense, you know all of the indicators, all of the steps that you need to take to monetize this process. So urgency is something that you need to look at. Now, let me go one step further. The second side of building the brand, the second pillar of building your personal brand, you want to ask yourself if the ideal client has the ability to pay. But how do you know this? There are specific things that you would need to know to be able to predetermine if the product is relevant, if the product is going to be viable or service, if it's going to reach an urgent and immediate need, and if the ideal client has the ability to pay. These are all things when you are leveraging the Wealth Builders Blueprint, you want to ensure that you're in that strategic position to predetermine all of this. You see, as a rising star or star in business, the more you know, the more information you have on these data points that I'm talking about is what's going to set you up to be successful in business. The reason you're going to struggle is because in building your personal brand or corporate brand, you're not taking all of these factors into consideration. So you're never able to really fully optimize the cash flow potential of the business. So let me say a couple of things. The ability to pay is not the willingness to pay. What are those factors that are telling you that the ideal client is not only able to pay, but they are willing to pay? All right. The willingness to pay doesn't mean that they're going to invest with you. Because remember, I said at the beginning, people prefer to buy and invest with those that they know, like, and trust. It doesn't mean that all the time this is going to happen, but the reality is that if your competition is able to establish themselves in the minds of the consumers and to build healthy, productive relationship with the consumers, and you're unable to do so, who is the consumers likely to gravitate to? Because they know them, they like them, and trust. You may have a better product, a better service, but because you're not able to break through the barrier of being known and being liked and being trusted, because people prefer to invest with those they know, like, and trust, they're going to go to those who are able to position their brand better in front of them. As I said, this may not happen all the time, but where people are able to make this choice, believe me, they will make the choice. So your business, your product, your services, your brand is going to fail, not necessarily because you have a bad brand, a bad product, but it's simply because you have not been able to build out the entire ecosystem that is necessary to put you in that winning position. Now, Peter, we're going to stop at the end of the hour, so we're going to wrap up shortly. But let me say this very quickly. Now, any attempt to build and master your personal brand, when you come to us at Power Investor LLC, Global Capital Inc., the Wealth Builders Blueprint, we have a standard approach in which we train you. Any attempt to build and master your personal brand, it means that you must understand three things. One, you must understand what is the ICSDL. If you don't understand the ICSDL, you're guessing in the brand building process. The ICSDL is what we call the ideal client stress test ladder. But this is not enough. We'll bring you over to the CCL, which is what we call the client conversion ladder. All right. And this is a sequence of steps that you need to take to optimize the client conversion process. Now, as you think of the client conversion process, I also want you to think about investors buy-in, because this platform will also help you to understand how to pull potential investors in, how to set your brand, personal corporate brand up to have the appeal to your direct partners. And the third thing that you want to master when you're building your personal brand is the concept that we call the pathways of influence. This also is a sequence of steps that must be learned, apply, and master when you're building your personal brand. So what we do here, we remove the abstract interpretation from what building your personal brand is, because very often when you hear personal branding, it's an abstract ideology. And what we say to you, any attempt to build your personal brand means that you're adding personality to your person. So let's take, for example, when you add confidence to your person, is an element of the personality. When you add leadership to the person, is an element of the personality. When you add people skill to your person, is an element of the personality. You bring all of these things into your person to enhance your personal branding. So people now start to know you. Hey, Peter is a confident person. Hey, Peter got a connection. Hey, Peter can connect me with the financial institutions so I can access debt, equity, credit. It becomes part of how Peter's branding, developing his personal brand. So I'm breaking all of this down because moving forward, when you hear personal branding, It must not be an abstract ideology. And I want to say this, every single person, you have a personal brand. And I'm praying that moving forward, because of the importance of having a strong personal brand, you make the commitment to invest your time, your talent, and your resources to enhance your personal brand, or at least get a mentor, a coach, a sponsor, a supportive community that can help you to do this. Because I explained it is important. You see, earlier I talked about how to start a US based business, and that is giving that business a personality. Everything that I have talked about is giving that business a personality so it becomes fundable. And you owe it to yourself to commit as much time, because if you don't have a strong personal brand, it's going to undermine the impact that you're able to make on your consumers, the impact you're able to make on your investors, and the impact that you're going to be able to make in life. But the more you invest into adding personality to your person, building your personal brand, is where the magic will start to take place. So, Peter, we have spent an hour here today, but I think it has been a power-packed hour. So I'm going to give you a chance to make your closing remarks, and then we're going to wrap up here for today.
Yes, and I appreciate it, Gary, because again, I'm gonna put it this way. I'm gonna say it, just repeat something that I said earlier, that everything starts with knowledge, right? And the knowledge that we have is going to make the difference between success or failure. And
Hmm.
we in especially now especially now where there is a flood, there's also a flood of knowledge where individuals can go to the and just type in to verify or to get information. And a lot of times information that they're receiving is not the right information.
It's
So
true. It's
yeah,
true.
you know, they think that just type in something in chat GPT and whatever chat GPT says, we can run with it without
Mhm.
understanding that, as you mentioned, the knowledge has to be tested, it has to be proven, it has to be applicable. And so what we want to just I want to give say to the audience coming here to this broadcast is that what you're having is not something that was thought about last night. It is not something that somebody who's just trying to jump into the marketplace and to make a point. These are based upon years of research, and not just research in terms of theory, but practical research that has been tested. So with that, I want to say, Gary, thank you so much for doing what you're doing. From the time that I've known you over the over 10 years, there has been a level of
Yes, yeah.
there has been a level of consistency in what you do and your heart to empower the community. So, community, take note and keep coming back here, because what you are receiving is a substance that is applicable, that you can put to work, and in a short space of time, in the next 3, 5, 10 years, you can look back on this first day and you can really see a sense of development and growth and advancement in your business or personal ventures.
And thanks for that share, Peter. Look who's just walked in the house, my brother. It's where you wake up from, buddy.
Yes, I had to do a speech today, and where I was, I
Uh,
couldn't really Wi-Fi. So I my humblest apologies for you, to you and the others.
all right. Well, myself and Peter, we rock and roll today. We were to start the show, and we did start the show.
And that's what I noticed.
All right, so Frank, we're about to wrap up, but I'm not going to wrap up unless you say a few words on leadership. Can you give some advice? Can you share the public some of the great things that is happening in your life? And perhaps next week we'll give them a chance to learn more about what you're doing.
Definitely, definitely. And I just want to remind the folks who are listening that leadership is more than just a position, it's more than just a title, it's character, it's integrity, it's empathy, it's mentoring and coaching of people. And once you realize that you're in the position, you see that you see our world has gotten full of crises. This is
Mm-hmm.
where you'll find innovative leadership who can bring us out of the crisis, and thus the importance of being a true leader, being an authentic leader, being a thought leader or a servant leader. One of the ideas that sometimes people get away with is that, okay, I'm in this position and I do what I do to please me, and the others who are in the position that they to serve me. If we look at the life of Jesus, he was in a position not to be in a position to be served, but he served. And it comes out in him washing the disciples' feet. And in them days, like now we have paved roads, it was sand, and he bent down there and washed up. That is what leadership is about. And when we get to
Mm-hmm.
realize with leadership comes humility, with leadership comes um, servanthood, with leadership. You see, the thing about it is we got to be thoughtful when we become leaders. We got we ourselves are no longer us and me. It's about it's about the population. It's about the people. It's about the citizen. And I want to get into that because I may become very political tonight, and I'm not going to go down that road today. But yeah, that's what leadership is about. Serving others, doing for others, helping others to attain position in life that you could have dreamed of. And you may be a leader and would never be a billionaire, but you can raise others to be billionaires. And that's where a legacy is formed. You might be the millionaire, you might be rich, but a true leader will get somebody, mentor somebody to be greater than themselves. Young yet no jealousy about it, but you should feel pride that because of me, this person is a better swimmer. Because of me, this person is better than math. Because of a seed you have sown. And once we as leaders realize that, we become less selfish. We become less prideful. And we are there to realize that we have to put others before us. It's a lonely position to be in, but we can do it. And so
Mm-hmm.
we want to leave tonight's program is that leadership is leaving a legacy. You're leaving a legacy. You're leaving for people who are trained and who can perform, even outperform you. That's what leadership is about. I've
Look
said them all.
here, I can see that the passion, I was about to ask is who pissed you off. Excuse my language, because you speak with authority and vexation. I love it, though. I want to say this also, the type of leadership that Frank is talking about is what we are about, and in our community, you get a mentor, you get a coach, you get a sponsor, you're part of a supportive community that wants you to win. Whether you go past the leaders who are mentoring and coaching you, it doesn't matter. We just want to pour information, knowledge, and experience into rising stars in business and well builders to ensure that they can attain success. So, Frank, I love the passion, and I want to say to the public, I want to encourage you to join our community. Go to the description of these videos. Follow us across the various social media. I think right now we're broadcasting across about 5 different platforms. Get registered and become part of our institution, our movement that is committed, all right, committed to providing you with a content of information that could help you rise to your greatness. All right, guys, it has been a pleasure being with you, and we do this again tomorrow at 6 p.m.